The city buzzed with the hum of late-night energy as Amara Lawson stepped out of the grand hall, the golden lights of the gala still glimmering behind her. She was an image of grace and strength, draped in an elegant evening gown that hinted at her success. Her mind lingered on the evening's triumph, a charity gala that had raised millions for community initiatives aimed at combating systemic inequities. But the peace was shattered the moment she approached her waiting car. The sound of a firm, authoritative voice cut through the night like a blade. "Hey! Stop right there!" Amara turned to see a uniformed officer approaching her, his hand resting on his holster. His eyes narrowed as they scanned her, not with curiosity, but with suspicion. "I'm sorry, is there an issue?" Amara asked calmly, her voice measured, her tone neutral. She had learned long ago that composure was her armor in situations like this. "This is private property," he barked, his words sharp and accusatory. "What are you doing here?" "I just left the charity event," she replied, motioning toward the building behind her. "I'm the host." The officer, Marcus Boyle, scoffed, his grip tightening on his belt. "I don't care who you say you are. You don't belong here." The sting of those words wasn't new, but it was no less cutting. Amara stood her ground, refusing to be intimidated. "I think there's been a misunderstanding. Perhaps you'd like to speak with my team inside?" Boyle's frustration boiled over. "I don't need to speak to anyone," he spat. His voice carried the weight of entitlement, his posture rigid with authority. A small crowd began to gather, drawn by the escalating tension. Phones were raised, their cameras trained on the confrontation. Amara glanced around, taking in the faces of the onlookers. She wasn't afraid. Years of navigating boardrooms filled with dismissive glances and underestimations had prepared her for moments like this. What she felt was anger, not for herself but for the countless others who didn't have the privilege of an audience or a platform to fight back. Boyle took a step closer, his presence looming. "You need to leave. Now!" Amara didn't flinch. "Officer, I have every right to be here," she said, her voice steady. "And you're overstepping." That was the moment everything shifted. In one swift, shocking motion, Boyle lifted his leg and kicked her square in the stomach, the force sending her stumbling backward. The gasp from the crowd was almost deafening, a collective intake of breath as the scene unfolded. Amara fell to one knee, her hand instinctively clutching her midsection. Pain shot through her, but she pushed it aside. She wouldn't let this moment break her. Slowly, deliberately, she rose to her feet, her eyes locking onto Boyle's with an intensity that spoke volumes. She didn't yell, didn't scream. Her silence was louder than any protest could have been. The phones captured it all, the violence, the audacity, the resilience. The video spread across social media like wildfire, igniting outrage and solidarity in equal measure. Yet, just as quickly as it had appeared, it began to vanish. Accounts posting the footage were mysteriously suspended, their content erased. Those who had seen it scrambled to understand what was happening. How could something so widely shared be wiped from existence? Back in her penthouse, Amara sat with her younger sister, Jasmine, the tension in the room palpable. Jasmine paced, her phone clutched tightly in her hand. "It's gone," she said, her voice edged with frustration. "Every single copy. Like it never happened." Amara leaned back in her chair, her mind racing. That kind of power, it's not just some random hacker. Someone with real influence is behind this. "Who?" Jasmine asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know," Amara admitted. "But we're going to find out." Amara sat in the quiet of her study, the city lights casting long shadows on the walls. The events of the night replayed in her mind like a relentless loop. She wasn't the type to dwell on fear or anger. Her life had been a testament to perseverance, but this was different. The kick, the crowd, the phones, and the officer's cold, unwavering expression were all pieces of a puzzle she couldn't ignore. And now, the erasure of the footage added an element of danger she couldn't shake. Jasmine burst into the room, her face a mixture of frustration and worry. "I've tried every contact I have. Journalists, tech experts, activists. No one has an explanation for how that video disappeared so fast." Amara didn't respond immediately, her thoughts turning inward. There was an undeniable sense that this wasn't just an isolated incident. The coordination required to suppress something that viral wasn't amateur work. Someone with resources, connections, and motives had decided she was a threat. "We're dealing with power," Amara finally said, her voice calm but firm. "Real power. Someone out there wanted to send a message." Jasmine frowned. "A message? What kind of message could justify this?" Amara turned to her sister, her gaze steady. "That I'm stepping out of line. That my success, my advocacy, my existence in spaces I'm not supposed to be is a problem for them." Jasmine's hands clenched into fists. "You think this is about the initiatives?" Amara nodded slowly. "Think about it. We raised millions tonight, not for corporate interests, but for communities. People who've been overlooked, ignored, and oppressed. That kind of shift in power dynamics doesn't sit well with everyone." As the sisters spoke, a quiet knock at the door interrupted them. Amara's head of security, Daniel, entered, his usually composed demeanor slightly shaken. "We have a problem," he said. "A big one." Daniel explained that over the past few hours, his team had uncovered traces of surveillance. Emails had been intercepted, phone lines tapped, even her private accounts had been accessed. "This isn't random hacking," he said. "Whoever did this knows what they're doing. They're watching you." Amara absorbed the information, her mind moving quickly. "So, it's not just about silencing the video," she said. "It's about control. Intimidation." Jasmine looked alarmed. "What do they want from you?" Amara stood, her presence commanding despite the uncertainty swirling around her. "They want me to back down. To stop fighting for the things that matter. But that's not going to happen." Daniel hesitated. "There's more. I did some digging into the officer, Boyle. He wasn't acting alone." Amara's brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" Daniel handed her a file. "He received an anonymous directive earlier that day. A tip-off about suspicious activity at the gala. It wasn't random. Someone orchestrated this." Amara opened the file, scanning its contents. Her stomach turned as she read the details. This wasn't just about her. It was about a system, a network of influence working behind the scenes to maintain control. The officer was a pawn, but the hand moving him was far more insidious. Jasmine's voice broke through her thoughts. "So what do we do? Do we go public with this?" Amara shook her head. "Not yet. Whoever's behind this has already shown how far they're willing to go to bury the truth. If we make a move now, they'll be ready." Jasmine looked confused. "Then what?" Amara's eyes narrowed, her determination hardening into resolve. "We gather evidence. Quietly. We find out who's behind this, and we expose them on our terms." Daniel nodded. "I'll assemble a team. Trusted people only. We'll start with the officer, see what he knows, what connections he has." Amara took a deep breath, steadying herself. She had faced challenges before, but this was different. This wasn't just about her reputation or her work. It was about something bigger. A battle for truth, justice, and the right to exist without fear. And she wasn't about to back down. As the weight of the situation settled over them, Amara knew the road ahead would be dangerous, but it was one she was prepared to walk. The silence in Officer Marcus Boyle's apartment was oppressive, broken only by the occasional hum of passing cars outside. He sat slouched at his kitchen table, staring at the blank screen of his phone. His suspension had been swift, and the backlash from the incident was overwhelming. News outlets had his name splashed across headlines, and even though the video had mysteriously disappeared, the damage to his reputation was already done. Yet what gnawed at him more than the public outcry was the lingering question in his mind. How had it come to this? Boyle replayed the events of that night over and over. He remembered the call, an anonymous tip about potential illegal activity at the gala. The voice on the other end was calm, authoritative, and convincing. They had claimed there was a credible threat, and he had been assigned to check it out. But the more he thought about it, the more the details didn't add up. The orders had bypassed his direct superiors, coming from an unknown source. And now, he was left to bear the weight of a decision that didn't entirely feel like his own. Frustration boiled within him as he stood and began pacing the room. He wasn't proud of what he had done, far from it. But something about the entire situation felt orchestrated, like he had been maneuvered into a trap. He thought about the timing, the sudden surge of aggression he'd felt, the way the crowd had appeared almost out of nowhere. It all felt too convenient, too calculated. Determined to find answers, Boyle opened his laptop and began digging into his department's records. He searched for the origin of the call, tracing every lead he could find. Hours passed, and his eyes burned from staring at the screen, but his efforts yielded little. Whoever had orchestrated this had covered their tracks well. Then, just as he was about to give up, he found something, a trace of an encrypted communication linked to his assignment that night. The message was routed through multiple servers, masking its origin, but one detail stood out, a time stamp. The order to monitor the gala had come mere minutes before the event began, leaving little room for verification or preparation. It was as though someone had wanted him to act impulsively, without question. Boyle leaned back in his chair, his mind racing. He had been set up, of that he was now certain. But by whom? And why? The questions only deepened his sense of unease. Meanwhile, across the city, Amara's team was piecing together their own puzzle. Daniel had uncovered more connections between the officer and the shadowy network behind the incident. It wasn't just about Boyle. There were layers to this conspiracy that extended far beyond him. Financial records, communication logs, and anonymous transactions hinted at a coordinated effort to target Amara specifically. Jasmine sat at the dining table, surrounded by stacks of documents and a laptop. "This goes deep," she said, scrolling through a series of payments made to untraceable accounts. "Whoever's behind this has resources, serious resources." Amara joined her, scanning the information. "It's not just about shutting me down," she said. "It's about control. They want to send a message to anyone like me, stay in your place, or this is what happens." Jasmine looked up, her face a mixture of anger and determination. "But why now? Why you?" Amara sighed, her gaze distant. "Because I've been making noise. The initiatives, the advocacy, the visibility, it's all a threat to people who thrive on the status quo. And now, they're trying to make an example out of me." As they spoke, Daniel entered the room, holding a file. "I think we've got something," he said. The officer, Boyle, wasn't acting alone. He received instructions, but they were funneled through an intermediary. "Someone who works closely with you." Amara's heart sank. "Someone on my team." Daniel nodded grimly. "That's what it looks like. Someone had access to your schedule, your movements. They fed that information to whoever's pulling the strings." Jasmine's jaw tightened. "A mole? In our own circle?" Amara's mind raced. Betrayal was a bitter pill to swallow, but it made sense. The precision, the timing, the insider knowledge, it all pointed to someone close to her. Someone she had trusted. "Do we know who?" she asked, her voice steady despite the storm brewing inside her. "Not yet," Daniel replied. "But we're narrowing it down." Amara took a deep breath, her resolve hardening. "Whoever it is, they've underestimated me. They think this will break me, but they're wrong. We're going to expose them, all of them." As the night wore on, Boyle continued his search for answers, and Amara's team worked tirelessly to unravel the conspiracy. Their paths, though separate for now, were on a collision course. Both sought the truth, driven by a shared determination to bring those responsible to justice. And though they didn't yet realize it, their fight was about to uncover secrets far more dangerous than either of them could have anticipated. Section 4. Naomi's Determination. Despite the mounting media coverage, Naomi is fully aware of the power dynamics working against her. As the days pass, she becomes more resolute. The messages in her inbox, the whispered doubts from acquaintances, telling her to stay quiet, only strengthen her resolve. Silence isn't an option. Her lawyer team tells her to withdraw from the public eye, let the system take over. They remind her that as a billionaire, she can buy her way out, settle with the city, and move on. But Naomi's eyes are hard, unwavering. This isn't about money. What happened to her wasn't an isolated incident. It was part of something bigger, a reflection of a system where Black lives, especially those of women, are constantly silenced and marginalized. If she walks away, she's complicit in allowing that system to continue. She refuses to be silent. So, she takes the fight into her own hands. Her media team starts arranging interviews, but Naomi isn't just talking to the press. She speaks directly to the people. In each interview, she doesn't talk about the attack as an isolated incident. She speaks of the broader systemic issues. She speaks about racial profiling in law enforcement, unequal treatment in the justice system, and how power is used to silence those who have no voice. "What happened to me is happening to thousands of others every single day," she says in one of her speeches, standing in front of a sea of protesters. "This isn't about me. It's about all of us." Her words strike a nerve. The response is overwhelming. Thousands of messages from people who see their own experiences in Naomi's story. People who have been ignored by the system, treated unfairly because of the color of their skin or their economic status. People who are fighting for their place in a society that constantly tries to push them down. Her words inspire others to come forward and share their own experiences. But as the media attention grows, criticism begins to creep in. Some accuse Naomi of exploiting the situation, arguing that her wealth and influence make her out of touch with the real struggle. They argue that someone like her, who can afford legal battles and media teams, doesn't truly understand the plight of the everyday person. They say she's too privileged to truly care. Naomi knows the critique isn't new. It's the same backlash that has long silenced voices trying to bring change. But she pushes back. With each interview, with each speech, she draws a clear distinction. It's not just about wealth. It's about principle. She talks about the sacrifices she's made, the years she's spent building her empire, not for power, but to create a space where others could thrive. Still, she finds resistance at every turn. There are meetings where powerful people, business leaders, politicians, try to pressure her into backing down. "This isn't your fight," they say. "Stay out of it, for your own good." But Naomi won't back down. She has built her company, a tech startup aimed at creating solutions to bridge gaps in education and healthcare for underserved communities. She knows what is at stake. And she knows that this is her fight. Her legal team suggests taking a different approach, settling the lawsuit, letting the incident fade from memory. But Naomi refuses. Justice isn't just about the case. It's about changing the systems that allowed it to happen in the first place. She wants accountability, not just for herself, but for everyone who's been marginalized by the same systems. What she does next takes her team by surprise. She begins creating partnerships with community leaders and local organizations. Instead of focusing solely on legal battles, she puts her wealth to work, funding initiatives, that focus on education and police reform, empowering those who have been silenced for too long. Naomi doesn't just want to be heard, she wants to make an impact. Through her advocacy, she encourages people to come together, to build alliances across communities, to work toward common goals. She mentors young activists and supports local leaders by amplifying their voices. Her message is simple, but powerful. Everyone deserves a voice, and everyone has the right to be heard. It's not long before people start listening, not just the media, but those in power as well. Naomi becomes a symbol of resistance, a figure of hope to those who felt forgotten and ignored. And slowly, as the movement gains traction, real change begins, not just in the streets, but in the corridors of power. Naomi's determination, her refusal to back down, starts to crack the foundation of the city's corruption. And in every interview, every speech, she plants a seed, a reminder that justice is possible and that every voice matters. This isn't just about the viral video anymore. It's about changing the entire system. And Naomi is ready to take that fight all the way. Section 5. The Cop's Secret. The investigation into Naomi's assault begins to unfold. But what starts as a search for justice soon reveals something far more insidious. The officer who attacked her, Officer Marcus Hill, has a past that doesn't add up. Internal police records show complaints lodged against him over the years, many for unjustified use of force. But even more damning, anonymous tips begin to surface, hinting at deeper connections that stretch beyond his role as a patrol officer. As investigators dig deeper into Officer Hill's background, they uncover financial transactions, unexplained deposits, suspicious gifts, and doubtful loans, all linked to the city's elite. Rumors circulate that he's part of a larger operation, one tied to corporate interests and political powers that benefit from keeping the city under control. Then the first major revelation comes. Whistleblowers step forward, some anonymously, revealing that Hill was working with a secret group, a faction embedded in local government and business circles. This group, some claim, has been orchestrating incidents to distract from their real goals, securing contracts, for lucrative deals, manipulating public policy, and controlling who gets access to the city's resources. The attack on Naomi wasn't an impulsive act. It was calculated, designed to send a message. The goal wasn't just to silence her. It was to keep her from exposing the corrupt dealings her company was on the brink of discovering. As investigators peel back the layers, connections start to surface. Corporate CEOs, land developers, high-ranking politicians, all with something to lose if Naomi's company succeeds. They had been watching her every move, waiting for an opportunity to undermine her efforts. And now, Officer Hill had been tasked to intimidate her, to send a warning that no one crosses this group without facing consequences. The deeper truth is chilling. Naomi's company isn't just developing tech to help marginalized communities. It's uncovering fraud, corruption, and manipulation at the highest levels, secrets buried beneath layers of corporate influence and government complicity. The evidence against Hill begins to stack up. Surveillance footage, emails, witness statements, they all point to a coordinated effort to silence anyone who threatens to reveal these hidden dealings. And at the center of it all, Hill was acting as the enforcer, a pawn doing the dirty work for those higher up the chain. Yet Hill isn't acting alone. The investigation begins to uncover an even larger conspiracy, a web of elite players using police forces as muscle. Internal leaks reveal that police budgets had been secretly funneled into private security firms linked to this group, and every move Hill made was directly connected to their agenda. A plan to keep Naomi from uncovering their secrets. As the scope of the investigation expands, more voices begin to emerge. Former cops, whistleblowers, victims, all willing to come forward with evidence of widespread abuse and corruption within the force. They speak of a culture that has protected criminal behavior for years, shielding the elite from accountability. Naomi's attack was just the beginning. Now, the truth is spreading, and the evidence can't be ignored. As the system begins to crack, it becomes clear that the forces aligned against Naomi are more powerful than anyone realized, and that more lives than Naomi's are at risk. Section 6. The Confrontation. Naomi's legal team finally reaches a critical breakthrough. Hard evidence that links Officer Hill to the corrupt network pulling strings behind the scenes. But it's not enough to just expose the cop. It's time to bring the entire system to light. Naomi knows the fight isn't just in court. It's about public perception and making the powers that be face accountability. Naomi's team organizes a public trial of sorts, one not held in a courtroom, but in a court of public opinion. They gather the evidence, not just Hill's involvement, but the web of connections between business elites, government officials, and police officers. Through leaked documents, anonymous testimony, and personal accounts, they laid bare the corruption, the deals, bribes, manipulated policies, all tied to the same group that had targeted Naomi. The trial becomes a spectacle, but Naomi doesn't play it safe. She demands to confront the full force of the system, face to face. What no one expects, however, is the hidden player, Ezra, the faceless witness. Until now, he's operated in the shadows, behind the camera, recording the injustice without revealing himself. But when his hidden footage, the very moments captured on his camera, comes into play, everything changes. Naomi didn't realize she wasn't the only one with crucial evidence. Ezra had been documenting the conspiracy for weeks, catching things no one else saw, tracking the communications and connections between Hill and the elite group. His footage proves that Hill's actions weren't isolated, but part of a larger, deliberate plan, a systematic attempt to suppress anyone who threatens the power these elites have long enjoyed. Ezra, finally stepping into the spotlight, doesn't seek fame. His goal has always been to reveal the truth, to shed light on what most want hidden. And now, with Naomi beside him, they present this damning evidence, an irrefutable chain of events that connects the cop, the elite players, and the long-running abuse of power. The trial spirals into chaos. The system, once unshakable, now begins to unravel. Politicians who once controlled the city, business leaders who had lived above the law, all find themselves exposed, Naomi doesn't shy away from pointing fingers. She holds each one accountable. Reform isn't just a buzzword, it's a demand she won't back down from. But what begins as a demand for justice quickly turns into something much bigger. A call for transformation of the city's core. The movement Naomi has sparked becomes unstoppable. Activists, citizens, former whistleblowers, community leaders, police reform advocates, all unite under the banner of change. The confrontation at the trial, however, is just the beginning. The powers that be refuse to lose power quietly. Behind closed doors, the elites begin working frantically to salvage their grip on the city. Deals are struck, threats are made. New alliances are formed between corrupt politicians, criminal factions, shadow organizations. But what they don't expect is Naomi's resolve, or Ezra's quiet strength. Together, they continue pushing, not just for justice, but for a total shift in the power dynamics. What started as an attack on one woman has evolved into a movement, one that refuses to be silenced. The truth is out in the open, but now, the real battle begins. Naomi and Ezra must prepare for what's coming, the full force of the corrupt system fighting back, because they threaten to expose what those in power have long worked to keep hidden. And this time, there's no going back. Section 7. The Legacy. As the dust settles, Naomi begins to see something she didn't expect. Change is happening, but slowly. The corruption hasn't been eradicated overnight, and the powerful players haven't all been taken down. But the seeds she planted are beginning to take root. A movement is forming, one built on hope, resilience, and unity. Naomi spends her days traveling between communities, small towns, underprivileged neighborhoods, and forgotten corners of the city where inequality runs deep. She meets with grassroots leaders, activists, students, workers, people whose lives have been shaped by the same system she once fought against. They share their stories, their struggles, and their hopes. What she quickly realizes is that this isn't just about one person's fight. It's about building something lasting, a legacy that empowers others. Leadership isn't about one person. It's about creating opportunities for others to rise. Mentoring new voices, collaborating with diverse groups, and amplifying the efforts of those already working for change. Her company becomes more than a tech firm. It becomes a platform for innovation and advocacy. Naomi isn't just focused on tech development anymore. She creates partnerships with nonprofits, educational initiatives, and civic organizations to work on systemic issues like poverty, healthcare disparities, police reform, and education equality. As Naomi travels, Ezra remains by her side, though more quietly now, watching from the sidelines, documenting, recording the small victories that build the larger picture. Together, they encourage communities to keep fighting, to hold the line, and to demand accountability, not just from the government, but from themselves. The resistance grows. But resistance doesn't come without its cost. There are pushbacks, attempts to discredit Naomi's efforts, undermine her allies, and create divisions within the movement. Some in power see Naomi's vision as dangerous, a threat to the old ways. They begin targeting her personally, spreading false rumors, harassing her partners, intimidating her supporters. Yet Naomi doesn't waver. She refuses to let fear control her mission. Instead, she channels every attack into fuel. Fuel to keep pushing for change. Her resilience becomes an example to those around her. She teaches others to stand firm against intimidation, to speak up in the face of opposition, and to believe that collective action can truly shift the system. Naomi's story, however, is more than just one of resistance. It's a story of legacy. What she's built is bigger than herself. She knows she can't change everything alone, but she can create a path for future leaders, those who will carry the fight beyond her. She begins mentoring young activists, empowering students to become advocates, young entrepreneurs to launch initiatives, and community leaders to spearhead their own transformational projects. She shares what she's learned, the strategies, the lessons, the mistakes, so that they don't have to start from scratch. Her legacy isn't just in laws or reforms. It's in the people she's inspiring to carry this movement forward. It's in the networks she's building, collaborations, across different races, backgrounds, generations, working together toward a common goal, equality. Naomi knows that real change doesn't happen in 1 year, or even 1 generation. It's a process, one built on endurance, dedication, and collaboration. And her role, her true purpose, is to plant the seeds for others to grow. Every interaction she has, every meeting, every conversation, asterisk asterisk she focuses on asterisk asterisk what comes next. Because she understands that the fight isn't just about now. It's about building a future, one where justice isn't just a hope, but a reality. Naomi's legacy isn't tied to her wealth or her influence. Asterisk asterisk it's tied to asterisk asterisk the change she's fostered in others. And as she looks ahead, she knows the movement will continue, because change has already started. And she has no intention of letting it stop.